desse jeito mesmo. Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 CACOB Build Commencement Ceremony. My name is Enrique Flores. I'm the CACOB Build Program Manager and also your host for tonight's ceremony. Before we begin, I want to remind everyone that tonight's ceremony is being recorded. So in case you know of anyone who missed joining us tonight, we will be posting the recording over on our Build website in the next few days where they can rewatch the ceremony. Additionally, all guests will be placed on mute until the final portion of our ceremony, where you will then be able to say a few words to congratulate the students. Now, back to our main event. Tonight, we are celebrating the accomplishments of our Year 2 scholars and fellows as they've completed their term with Build and will move on to their next chapter in their careers in academics. It's undoubtedly been a year filled with many trials and tribulations that have kept coming no matter what corner we've turned. Regardless of that, you, the Year 2 scholars and fellows, have still managed to break through and achieve many milestones, both personally and professionally, of which we are extremely proud of you. Thus, many of the reasons we are celebrating you tonight. Though I would be remiss not to acknowledge the members of the Build community that have been a huge support along your path. Therefore, please help me in giving a round of applause to our CACOB Build faculty mentors, our graduate mentors, our staff, training directors, co-directors, and our principal investigators. Each of these individuals has played a role in supporting all of the Build students throughout their term in the program. In addition, I want to also acknowledge the continued support from our CACOB President, Jane Close Connolly, who I believe is here tonight. President Connolly somewhere? There she is. Welcome. And also to our provost, Brian Jersky, who has been an avid supporter of the program since his time at the university. On a side note, we also want to wish him all the best as he will be retiring at the end of the semester. So thank you to all of the Build community for your devotion to enhancing the lives of all Build students. Now, to start things off with our presentations, please welcome one of our Build PIs, Dr. Jesse Dillon.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us, Build scholars, fellows, family, and friends and loved ones, as well as our esteemed guests and administrators. I want to start by congratulating you, Build scholars and fellows. Despite the incredible struggles you've been through, especially in the last year, you have now arrived at an important milestone in your educational journey. The completion of your Build research program is a culmination point in your career, and what an accomplishment it is. Scholars, I'm going to be honest here, as with children, you're not really supposed to pick favorites, but since I've worked most closely with you, and I've worked with scholars for many years, I can share with you that it was very clear early on that this cohort of scholars was very special, and you've really lived up to that as well. You've had a long 2-year journey. The first year we got to see and work with you in person, which seems like a million years ago, I know now. We traveled miles to Abercams, well, to Anaheim for Abercams, so maybe not too many miles. You began your research on campus and in the community with your mentors. Then, just like that, your research world was turned upside down. Nevertheless, you persevered and were fortunate to have the help of many people guide you along your way. Your faculty mentor, your graduate mentors, Everett and John, who've worked with you for 2 years now, your training directors, Dr. Cho, Dr. Gonzalez, and myself, and all of the Build program staff, especially Enrique and Nicole. Fellows, what can I say? You've overcome the most challenging year of the 7 years of the Build program in your own single year in our program. Truly amazing. Your Build journey started only days after the death of George Floyd and has been spent entirely in the time of COVID. What amazing challenges those have represented. But you've overcome these incredible challenges as you sped your way through your graduate applications. You attended virtual conferences and spent more time Zooming through LCs than we could ever have anticipated. Your success was made possible by the assistance of your GMs, Patrick and Clarissa, as well as your esteemed training director, Dr. Chin Gooseby. The leaders of the program searched for one word to capture what you all have accomplished this year. Perseverance was a word that came to mind. Maybe something stronger, we thought, maybe a miracle was needed. Finally, we settled on the word triumph. We see this through all of your accomplishments, both personal and professional. For example, together as a group, you've given over 76 research presentations, 43 of which were at professional meetings, despite the fact that so many meetings have been canceled over the last 12 to 15 months. You have 3 peer-reviewed publications thus far and 2 additional ones under review, and I have no doubt that there will be many more in the future. You've received prestigious awards and even won second place in recent statewide research competitions. Your time in Build could have been completely eclipsed by the terrible disruptions, losses caused by the pandemic, and the fear and anxiety caused by racial injustice, social and political rifts in our country. But in spite of all of these challenges, you've prevailed and you've successfully completed your Build research training. These are extraordinary times, but we know that whether you've decided to go on to graduate school, to start a career in industry, or will be taking time at home to be with your family or finishing up your degree in the fall, we send you off from Build knowing that you are well equipped to take on the challenges to be truly successful. Wherever you are and whatever you become, we don't want you to forget why you started the Build journey in the first place. It is because you care. You care about the people in your lives. You care about the people in your community. You care about the people in the world. And we know that you will go forth in your own unique way to help us discover new and amazing ways to overcome the health challenges and the health disparities that the world faces. These challenges have been laid bare all the more by the pandemic of the last year and a half. Finally, we want you always to remember that we are here to support you as you begin the next phase of your career journey. Please stay in touch so that we can help you navigate these new challenges, but most importantly, so that we can share in your many successes that we know are coming. Be well, go Beach, and go Build.
Thank you, Dr. Dillon. Our next portion of the program is a special one. At the end of every year, our outgoing students vote on which one of their colleagues best represents their cohort and will speak on their behalf at the commencement ceremony. This individual is chosen based on many attributes such as their community involvement within Build, across CSULB, and their support towards other students, just to name a few. This year, we have 2 student speakers, one representing the Year 2 scholars and the other the fellows. Our first speaker of the evening comes from the College of Natural Sciences and Mathematics, where they are majoring in molecular cell biology and physiology, and their work with their faculty mentor, Dr. Erica Holland. Please help me in welcoming Ashley Campbell.
Hi, thank you so much for the introduction, Enrique. Okay. As Sir Isaac Newton wrote in a letter to a rival, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." I heard this quote for the first time at a neuroscience seminar at my community college. It resonated with me then, but the full meaning of the message had not been completely revealed to me until I began to reach the end of my time in the Build Scholars program. Looking back at the 2 years that I have participated in Build, I see monumental changes that have occurred in myself and my colleagues as both individuals and intellectuals. I remember the first meeting I had with the incoming Build cohorts in the summer of 2019. The room felt like it was buzzing with excitement and anticipation, and I can recall looking around at the students in the room and thinking how confident and brilliant they all were then. I remembered myself feeling very nervous as a fresh community college transfer student, not yet acquainted with the university and acclimating to my role as a Build scholar. I was confident in my ability to perform as a researcher, but insecure because of my inherent tendencies to be timid and soft-spoken. I knew at that stage that my heart was in research, and I was excited to begin my work as a member of Build and a member of the scientific community. What I experienced over the past 2 years was more than I could have ever predicted on that first day of orientation. Build provided a community of faculty members, Build staff, and students that operated as a tight network where support was abundant and growth and development of the students was the common goal. It created an environment that valued all faces of science and celebrated not just the successes of its students, but the entire journey that brought us to those great feats. Build challenged us to overcome our weakest points and conquer obstacles we faced in our academic, professional, and personal lives. But never were they made to eclipse our strengths, and every barrier we broke was added to our list of achievements. Build became not just a collective journey towards a PhD, but a community that operated like a village and cared for its members like a family. It never ceased to amaze me to learn how many wonderful people contributed to Build's mission, some quietly working in the background to make it a possibility for its students. But it never went unnoticed, and I carry so much gratitude in my heart for the entire Build community. It was only 3 years ago that I first learned about Build at my community college. As the program representative described the undergraduate research opportunity to my class, an excitement and passion developed inside of me like a seed. The idea of Build at that stage was like a wondrous dream, and as I watch this chapter of our lives come to an end, I am filled with a combination of sadness and joy. Sadness because our paths are diverging as we continue to chase our dreams, but joy because of the knowledge that our network is not dissolving. Instead, we have grown into a community of giants, and the strides we have made in the past 2 years have been great and impactful. No matter where our respective paths lead tomorrow, I have faith and confidence that we will continue to achieve our goals, and I hope that we can continue to observe and share in the amazing things that we will accomplish. To quote the 12th century academic and theologist John of Salisbury, we are like dwarfs on the shoulders of giants. We see more and things that are more distant, not because our sight is superior or because we are taller than they, but because they raise us up and by their great stature add to ours. To the Build directors and faculty and all of the Build staff, and to our research mentors and graduate mentors and my wonderful colleagues who have celebrated this journey together. Thank you for making this wonderful dream a possibility. May we stay strong and kind in the face of resistance and adversity. And may we continue our mission to succeed and become the next generation of giants for our future scientists. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Now, our second student speaker represents the Fellows cohort. Now, they come from the College of Health and Human Services, where they are majoring in kinesiology with a focus in exercise science, and work with their faculty research mentor, Dr. Evan Schick. Please help me in welcoming Amanda Finn.
Thank you for that introduction, and thank you again, Ashley, for that really awesome speech. I want to begin by acknowledging the Build training directors, the graduate mentors, program coordinators, and all those who work to keep this program running. Their dedication to our growth and future despite the pandemic is why we're here. I also want to thank my peers, both in the Fellows and Scholars cohorts. I didn't get to know you super well, and that sucks. But through the last year, I've been blown away by all the support and hype that I've received from you all. I wish I could be hearing from another fellow student today, not just because I'm shaking behind the camera, but because you all inspire me with your stories and growth. I couldn't help but think how I'm giving this speech to faces that I've never run into at the Build Center, peers I've never grabbed coffee with, to people who basically exist in my computer screen. I feel like I don't have to list off all the ways that this year was quote unquote unprecedented. One unprecedented event for me recently was skipping class. And yes, that sounds lame, but I'm a nerd and all the running trails were calling me. I stayed logged into my computer at home, so maybe I technically didn't skip. But when I returned, it was just me and my biochem professor alone. I imagine she was there for those minutes before I got back, thinking I wanted to ask her a question. Whether it's burnout from being online or senioritis or both, I figure I'm not the only one who can't wait for finals to be done. I shared the little anecdote because we may be high achievers and on top of our game 99% of the time, but that doesn't mean that we're robots. I remember laughing until I cried with some of the Build fellows when we realized that fall semester had us crying over the smallest things going wrong. Nothing in the last year has been perfect, so I applaud everyone for their triumphs, big or small. This upcoming fall is an exciting time for those of us going to grad school to start fresh, and it also may be the start of a gap year for others. A time to figure out who you are and what the heck you're going to do with the abilities and skills that you have. And that's okay. Everyone's path looks different, and it's the moments of hope, the laughs, the people we find that make the dark times a little brighter. In the last couple weeks, we've been using our Build learning community to reflect on the past year and on ourselves. One thing I heard a couple times from my peers was that they almost didn't apply to Build because they didn't think they would get in or they didn't think that they would fit in. And here you are, graduating from undergrad as part of the Build community. Whether your future is clear as of today or not, remind yourself of the battles you've won and the people who believe in you. Hitting send on that grad school application was a milestone in itself because you figured even a slim chance at admission was worth putting your soul into the essays and interviews. Another milestone I've heard from my cohort is the newfound sense of confidence in ourselves, thanks to support from our mentors and peers. We started to embrace our identities in science and research, and whether it's a clear-cut path to where we want to go or not, we will be able to trailblaze if need be. One thing we have in common is our underrepresented identities and backgrounds. My mom was an immigrant from Honduras, and although she wasn't alive to see me go to college, my grandma on her side is still alive. She called me while I was writing my Build research report last week to congratulate me for the scholarship, which was her understanding of me committing to a doctoral program. She said she and everyone in the village who knows me was cheering when they found out, and I was pretty shook since they're where I draw my strength from every time I was preparing for an interview or writing essays. Some of you might relate with loved ones you get to represent in your future, but even if no one comes to mind, just know that you may be inspiring and giving hope to people that you don't know. People who see your successes and failures and know a better future is attainable. Hold on to the roots and diverse identities and let the world see just what you're capable of once Zoom University is over. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley and Amanda, for those powerful words. Totally feel you on all of that. And now I'll bring back to the stage Dr. Jesse Dillon. I believe he has some additional words he'd like to say.
Yes, thank you, Enrique. And let me add my congratulations to both you, Ashley and Amanda, the really inspiring stories. So we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge that even though we're meeting virtually tonight, that we wish that this had been on our campus. And we want to acknowledge that the lands of Cal State Long Beach are actually the lands of the Tongva and Gabrielino people. They are the traditional caretakers of the Los Angeles Basin and Southern Channel Islands area. And we are particularly grateful to have the opportunity to work at the sacred site of Pavunga, which means the gathering place. We hope to gather there soon, and we pay our respects to the ancestors, elders, and our relatives and relations past, present, and emerging. We also invite you to find out which native land you live on using the URL at the bottom of the slide.
Thank you, Dr. Dillon. We will now move on to our keynote speaker of the evening, Dr. Anissa Davis. Dr. Davis grew up in Long Beach, California, and graduated from Long Beach Poly. She obtained a BA in history at UCLA, spent 2 years as a lab technician doing research in psychopharmacology for West LA VA, and then attended Stanford School of Medicine, graduating in 1998 with her MD. She returned to Long Beach to complete a residency in family medicine from 1998 to 2001. She then completed a master's in public health at UCLA in 2002 and worked for the Long Beach Department of Health and Human Services as a public health physician specializing in biomedical bioterrorism agents from 2002 to 2005. In 2005, she left the city to begin a career in Los Alamitos as a family physician. providing primary medical care to adults and children, which she did for 11 years. She returned to LBD HHS in September 2016 as the city health officer. She's married and has 2 wonderful sons, ages 14 and 17. She also has a dog and 5 cats, and also loves reading and being in nature. Now, please have a big round of applause and please welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. Anissa Davis. Dr. Davis?
Thank you so much, Enrique, for that introduction. And thank you, Ashley and Amanda, for those wonderful speeches. I'm so inspired. So let me get myself together a little bit here. Okay. So good evening. Congratulations to the Cal State Long Beach Build graduates. Tonight is a special night, bringing together family, friends, loved ones, faculty, and guests, all in celebration of you and the hard work you've done for so long that has culminated in this accomplishment of graduation. We're very proud of you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share in marking this successful transition of students to bigger and better things to the next stage of your careers. I was where you are many years ago. We don't need to get technical about exactly how many. And I had worked so single-mindedly for years to get to that point, which was for me to be the first in my immediate family to graduate from college. And what I know now is that that was just the beginning of what I needed to learn. I had acquired a lot of knowledge, but what I needed to learn was how to make a life. So what I'd like to share with you are those lessons that I've spent the last 30 years practicing. I'm by no means an expert and I'm still in practice. And these lessons are really summed up with the quote that I put in the chat by Neil Gaiman that reads, "The one thing that you have that nobody else has is you. Your voice, your mind, your story, your vision. So write and draw and build and play and dance and live as only you can." So one day I was sitting in a meeting. It was a meeting for a group, and it was an introductory meeting for a group that you could join. And it was a very inclusive group. Anybody could join, but the group had very strong beliefs that were black and white to them, and they were very convicted about these beliefs. And as the meeting progressed, I was feeling more and more uncomfortable because I was realizing that I didn't share all of their beliefs. And so, but I was new and I wasn't an expert in the subject. So I sat through the meeting, and finally towards the end of it, I summoned up enough courage to speak up and share my strong discomfort just about my differences in the belief system. And the discussion leader taught me something that's stayed with me today. And what she said was, if you're here, if something's compelled you to be here, then you've been brought here for a reason. You are here for a reason. A few more examples. You know, none of these examples are momentous, like they didn't stop a nuclear war from occurring, but I think they really showcase that change is made in those quiet day-to-day interactions. One day I was in another meeting. I spent a lot of time in meetings, and Trump had just been elected president, so it was in 2016, and it was a meeting of health officers. There was a few men, a couple of women, and I was the only African-American person in the group. And we were just debriefing about the election before the actual formal meeting started, and everybody was just providing their reflections about what they thought the election meant. And the men were reflecting, the male health officers were reflecting that they felt that the election may be bad for public health, that it may decrease funding in public health, that it might deprioritize public health, maybe put things on the back burner. And my contribution to the discussion was, I'm afraid for me and my family's safety. And I could just immediately see that they were so taken aback. that they had not really, like none of them had thought about the election on such a personal level. And one of the other women health officers who was in the meeting shared that her daughter actually cried as a result of the election because of how she felt that it would impact women. And so that's kind of always stayed with me, that the richness of the perspectives that you get when you have diversity at the table and what you lose when you don't. One more meeting. So the federal government a few years back put together an initiative called Ending the Epidemic. So Ending the Epidemic initiative to stop HIV in America. And the director at the time, Dr. Robert Redfield, came to Los Angeles to talk about the initiative, to meet with a bunch of different stakeholders. And so one of his meetings was with the community. And so he gave his introductory comments about what the initiative was about and the funding and what have you. And then he was the listener, the director of the CDC. And there was a panel of community members, and there were 3 people on the panel. And one of them was a transgendered woman. And she told him, she's like, if you don't care about me enough to give me rights, or to protect me, or to allow me to serve in the military, why should I think that you care about me now? She was there for a reason. Her voice, her story needed to be heard in that moment. And her voice highlights another point, and that's that you're never just speaking for yourself. You're always channeling those behind you and those who came before you. So there's numerous ways that we've all had to use our voice and tell our story during the pandemic. COVID-19, as I'm sure everyone here knows and could intimately discuss, tore apart every facet of our society, all classes, all races, genders, occupations. But some of us definitely bore the brunt of the pandemic more than others. And people approached and experienced the pandemic very differently, based on their age, their income, their race. And so if the people fighting the pandemic, making the laws and restrictions, policies and protections don't reflect the people actually being adversely impacted by the pandemic and the ones actually going through the pandemic, are you really going to have the best outcomes? You can see this in vaccine hesitancy and vaccine access, what languages we use to reach people, how we communicate, what media we use to do that communication, the recommendations and assumptions we make about being able to work from home, for instance. And if we would gear everything towards one slice of life, like if we were just to focus, gear all of our protections and what have you, policies towards, like, say, 3 zip codes in Long Beach, you're not going to be successful. And this was really made obvious during the pandemic, that you have to have a lot of voices at the table in order to be successful. And sometimes it's really hard to use your voice and tell your story. For me personally, talking about race, I feel like it's very personal. I feel it deeply. When we talk about race, I feel like you're talking about my mother or my kid, and I get this, clench in my stomach. So it's not something that I speak publicly about with a lot of ease. So when I was asked as the city health officer by the media, by, in interviews and in print, to discuss the intersection of George Floyd's murder and the COVID pandemic's decimating impact on the Black community, that was really hard for me. But again, I remembered that as a Black woman, I had been placed in that moment for a reason. And not only should my voice be heard and my story be heard, but it needs to be heard. And that it wasn't just my voice, but I was speaking for so many other people who didn't have this opportunity. And just think what a loss it would have been to not have taken that opportunity to make those connections between racism, murder, social justice, and COVID-19. And I had to learn how to do it afraid or, when you're not as good, you don't feel like you're as good as you should be, or you're as prepared as you should be. And I had to learn that it's better to do it that way than not doing it at all. Your voice might shake, you might feel a little something, you might even have to cry, but people will still remember what you said. And it's practice for the next time. You can't get better if you don't get started. And people have your back, and they're actually inspired. Just by you going about your life, you're actually inspiring someone. So your voice and your story are going to be needed too. As you go higher in your career, you may find that you feel like you stick out. There may be fewer and fewer people of color or women or openly queer people, first-generation college students. It might be easy to feel that you don't belong in that room, at that table, in that lab, doing that research. I've felt that way, and I've been afraid to speak up. But I've learned over and over again that no matter what scenario or environment I find myself in, no one in that room thinks the way I do. I'm there for a reason, and you are too. And we're not just there, we're needed. Yours is a necessary and unique voice, viewpoint, and perspective, wherever and whatever table you happen to be at. And I don't just mean that you're the Asian voice or the Latinx voice or the Black voice. It's your voice based on the totality of your experiences, everything that's you. It's unique and important. You don't have to be loud or super assertive. Your voice might be quiet, but it needs to be present and heard. Your voice doesn't even always have to be verbal. Your voice isn't just the words coming out of your mouth. It's showing up. It's your actions. It's what you care about. Just sitting your butt in a chair and taking up the space is adding your voice. And for a lot of people, that's an unexpected move. Your voice and experiences are adding richness to whatever conversation you're in. And don't be afraid to have a radical voice or radical opinions. Don't be afraid to have an unpopular opinion. There's two things I've learned about unpopular opinions. One is that today's outlier viewpoint is tomorrow's mainstream belief. Look at the strides we've made with the Black Lives Matter movement, the movement for same-sex marriage. And the other thing I've learned is that no matter how much in the minority you think your view is, there's always someone who agrees with you. And I've also really been impressed with your generation's audacity and commitment to tackling the hard subjects like racial justice and gun violence. We need that commitment. And in the interest of full disclosure, I'll just share one of my radical thoughts with you. I don't think a 5-day work week or a 40-hour work week should be the standard in America. I don't think it's a good for work-life balance, mental health or physical health. And most people in America don't even adhere to that. They work even more than that. And I don't know how that got to be the standard, and I don't know what we're gaining from it. So let's see where that goes in the next 20 years. And I know that some of you out there agree with me. You may have some self-doubts or discomfort. I do all the time. People might try to make subtle and not so subtle intimations of you not belonging. My credentials have been challenged during this pandemic, but I'm telling you now that you belong wherever you are, and not just that you belong there, but you're needed there, and you deserve to be there. You've worked hard and overcome a lot. You're there for a reason, and you're sharing your voice and the voice of others. I've spent so much time, just like you guys have, dedicated to achieving goals. And after I spent the first 30 years of my life totally single-mindedly pursuing being a doctor, after that, I had to figure out, who am I? What am I good at? What are my values? What brings me joy? How do I intentionally honor my strengths, values, and interests? Because all of that was pushed to the side as I was studying to become a doctor. So I would like, but I think they're equally as important. And so I would like to just do a little exercise for all of us now. And then I'll show you some other stuff, and then you'll have a little bit of homework once you get done with finals. So the first thing I want to talk about is superpowers. So we all have superpowers, whether we know it or not. It's those things that come really easy to you that you tend to take for granted, but other people always remark on. So you make friends really easily, or you're very kind, that type of thing. So they're your kind of innate gifts. And I want you to really discover and know those things about yourself. The pandemic has probably already shown you some of these things about yourself, but they'll help you to make better decisions, help you build resiliency, and just generally feel good about yourself. So I'm going to share a list. And what I want you to do is just kind of look at the list of different inborn strengths or gifts. And then I want you to just, in your head, if you can't write it down, just pick the top 5. Don't think too much about it. So let's see if I can share. And it's not this one, it is that one. Let's see. Okay, so we'll take a minute. It's kind of self-explanatory. Your top 5. Like, yep, that's me. All right, I think that's good. So what I want you to do is eventually I want you to write this down, and I want you to put this list somewhere where you'll see it all the time, often over the coming days and weeks. You could even do it with somebody else and see what they said about you and you said about them and compare. I also put a link in the chat about innate strengths. And these strengths will be a reminder that you have a unique combination of strengths just for you that can and will aid you in any challenge and help you, provide information when you're, turning to make different decisions. So now let's turn to values. So what's a value? It's a way of how you want to live. So it's virtues or qualities you want to uphold or embody. It's a way of being in service to something bigger than yourself. And research has shown that when you are guided by values, it's much easier to make decisions. A quote by Roy Disney says, "When values are clear, decisions are easy." So this one we won't have time to do together, but I put a link in the chat about values, and then this there. And so this is more like words, like decisive, acceptance, candor. And so in all this lovely free time that you'll have after next week, circle the top 20 words that you think best describe how you want to live. And then you can kind of just narrow it down to 10 or 5. Some people do this every year. And it's just a way of just having kind of a guiding light or a North Star that helps you, when you're at turns in the road. And then the last thing is a little bit of homework once you get done with your finals. Things that bring you joy. So the playing and dancing and living part of Gaiman's quote. What I'd like you to do is write down one thing that you enjoy doing every day. So in the same place, like on a calendar, in your phone, on a planner. Was there a new song you enjoyed, a book you just read, playing a certain video game, a TV show? Try to be as specific about what was enjoyable as possible. Did you like the song because it was just new and so you enjoy the discovery of a new favorite? Or was it the fact that it was a new genre of music? Was it this particular TV show and why? Or was it the fact that you were watching it with someone? And then I want you to start noticing what brings you joy as you continue to write this down. And then I want you to start intentionally scheduling joyful things into your day. And so having these superhero strengths, having these virtues, and then having this intentional joy are all things that I think have enriched my life, the lessons that I needed to learn. And just, as you're going through things, as you're having, the trials and tribulations, as I heard someone say earlier, these are things that you can add to your plate so that you have a little bit more balance. So congratulations again. Go forth and remember your radical voice. Know that you're stronger than you realize and you have a lot of innate gifts, and make sure to practice balance and fun at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Davis. That was great. Thank you, Dr. Davis, Ashley, Amanda, for sharing those beautiful words. Thank you, Dr. Davis, for spending the time here with us on our special day to inspire us, to uplift us, to realize our superpowers. So from everyone at Build, we really appreciate you accepting our invitation. I'm Alex Garbonati. I'm the Web and Graphics Coordinator for Build. And right now I have the pleasure of playing the graduation video that so many of you sent in some really fun clips for. Now, we know that you won't be able to participate in a traditional graduation like we all would have wanted, but we wanted to give you the spotlight that you deserve, the chance to put on your graduation outfits, your Build sash. So thank you to everyone that participated by submitting your content and helping to organize this. Keisha, Nicole, all the GMs, Patrick, Clarissa, Everett, and John that helped me organize everything and put it together. And I hope you have as much fun watching this as I had making it.
One more time. Celebration tonight. Celebrate. Don't wait too late. No, we don't stop. You can't stop. We're gonna celebrate. One more time. One more time. One more time, a celebration. You know we're gonna do it right tonight. Hey, just feel it. Music's got me feeling the need. Yeah. Come on, alright, we're gonna celebrate one more time. Celebrate and dance so free. Music's got me feeling so free. Celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free.
All right, now I hope you enjoyed all of that. I had a lot of fun making it. And next up, I'm going to introduce our Associate Director, Dr. Keisha Chin-Gooseby.
Good evening, everybody. So I am, as Alex said, Keisha Chin-Gooseby, the Associate Director of the BUILD program, also the Training Director for the Fellows. So I just want to say, just as the Year 2 scholars are near and dear to Dr. Dillon's heart and Dr. Gonzalez's heart, they're near and dear to my heart. But really, we're raising a glass right now to toast the entire CSULB BUILD class of 2021. I know we're yelling and screaming in the background, and we'll have a chance to unmute shortly. My final words to you all is in the words of the late, great Bob Marley: good friends we have, good friends we've lost along the way, but in this great future, you can't forget your past. And so I also wanted to say to the student representatives who have been voices for their cohorts all year long, we thank you for spending many hours working with us to improve our program. They're Emily Marquez, Tyler Nelson, Cameron McInerney, Jonathan Pisano, Nick Malone, and Kyle Horiuchi. And then a very special thank you to 4 of the graduates in the room today who spent hours helping us plan tonight's event. They're Jacob Reese, Alejandro Aguilera, Esther Cho, and Brianna Rios. And finally, a big thank you to Alex, our web and graphic designer, who spends many hours, probably when we're asleep or in meetings or who knows when else, sweating over all of these pieces, but he brought it all together. All of us who I named and many others too gave feedback and input, and he made it all come to life in terms of the vision that we created together. So thank you for that, Alex. And to Nicole, who held us together with deadlines, reminders, and all the final little pieces that sometimes we might forget. She's been slowly spotlighting speakers tonight, admitting people to the room, and just ensuring that everything moves smoothly. And we thank you so much for that help behind the scenes, Nicole. You're the queen, I believe, is what the fellows say about you. And so at this point, we would love to just open it up for anybody who would like to say a few words to congratulate our graduates. Alex is going to display a screen that will tell you or give you directions about how to raise your hand so that we can unmute you one by one. What I can't promise is that we may not be unmuting you in the order in which you raised your hand, but we're going to do our best to recognize raised digital hands so that we can unmute you so that you can speak.
So really quickly, before we unmute everyone, some of you sent in a couple words, some thank you messages, and I'm going to show that really quickly. And then right after that, we're going to show you how to unmute yourself, and then everyone can participate and join in and say what they would like to say. So here we go.
Congratulations, Build Fellows and Scholars. Now it's your turn to go make a difference, make the world a better place with your research and science, and inspire the next generation. Good job, everyone.
Build graduates, as you go forth, I leave you with this. Be kind, be empowered, be hopeful, and most of all, be you.
This year has been wild to say the least, but through it all, you have persevered. I am so proud. My warmest congratulations to you all.
Congratulations, everyone, and good luck with your future career, and we're very proud of you.
Congratulations, Build Class of 2021. I am so proud of each and every single one of you, and I wish you all success in your future endeavors.
Congratulations on making it to the finish line. Big hugs to my 2018 associates. Best wishes to you all.
Congratulations, Build Class of 2021. You made it through this very difficult year. Just know that your Build family will always be there for you to support and cheer you on as you take on this next part of your life. We wish you all the best in whatever you do.
Congratulations, 2021 Build Fellows and Scholars.
So as Alex shares that this PowerPoint, those of you who know how to raise your hand without using the PowerPoint might be ahead of the game. Feel free to raise your hand if you'd like us to unmute you. Dr. Whistler, we see you with your hand raised. One of us will be unmuting you shortly. I don't think you've unmuted yet, Dr. Whistler.
Sorry about that. Thank you very much. But congratulations, class, and I want to make sure that you guys can do amazing things. So go do it. Stop wasting our time. Go.
Everett, I saw your hand next.
Hello, everyone. Congratulations on all your incredible accomplishments. We look forward to seeing what you do in your next steps. We're just so unbelievably proud of you. Go Beach.
You're up, John.
Okay, everyone hear me? Hello. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say congratulations to the Build Class of 2021. I am very proud and I'm very happy to have been able to serve as your Build graduate mentor for the past 2 years. I have to say I've seen exemplary growth and very great achievements between all of you, and I look forward to hearing back from you again in the future for everything that you're going to be accomplishing in the future. Thanks again. Shout outs to all of you, and congratulations.
Nicole's iPhone, because that's the name I see.
Hi, everyone. We just want to say congratulations to everyone. Congratulations, Robert. We're so pleased to see you accomplishing great things. We love you, and we can't wait to see your next adventure.
Congrats, Uncle! Congratulations, Uncle Robert.
Is everyone else shy? I don't see any more hands. So Alex, oh.
Here we go.
Yeah, and I see you.
I'm sorry, I forgot to unmute. We are Ashley Campbell's family. We're the ones, I don't know if you heard us screaming, but we've been screaming all through this whole thing. Sorry. Very proud. We just want to say we're very proud of Ashley and all of you and everyone You did a fantastic job. And I know it's been really, really difficult. I mean, we're now in this really strange time, but you all have come through, and you're always going to come through everything. No matter what happens, it's your strength, and it's the strength of unity that keeps everyone through these times. Just keep up that strength. Never lose it. Ashley, we're so proud of you. We love you very much.
Love you, sweetheart.
Say something.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Love you, Mom. So I don't think I can raise my hand. I don't see that. Maybe it's because I'm a co-host, but I wanted to try. Anyway, I just wanted to say congratulations to everybody. Obviously, you know, as we've been saying over and over, but we really mean it 100%. We're so proud of you all. We're so excited to see how much you guys have grown over the last year, especially during this, you know, really challenging year. So we really hope that you keep in touch. We're so excited to see everything that you guys go on to do and accomplish. And, you know, you make us proud, you make your families proud, your friends proud. And I hope you really realize how proud of yourselves you all should be too.
Makisha?
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say congratulations to all of you. I don't know if you saw me rocking in the background to your extraordinary slides. And when we look out in these different boxes and all of you as our future, we're just so proud and inspired for what you're going to do. I hope you really take heed to Dr. Davis's note to be you, to be yourself in all spaces, and that's all parts of you. So again, congratulations to you, and go Beach.